Good evening. Well, Prince Harry did come very quickly from the west coast of America, landed at Heathrow, made his way to the palace. But it would appear he wasn't really there for very long before the king headed off to Sandringham. To get the full details, we're joined by Cameron Walker, GBNews' royal correspondent outside Buckingham Palace. Cameron, it would appear it was a very, very short visit, and then the king left.
Yeah, surprisingly short visit, Nigel. It was a very busy day here in central London. Prince Harry landed at Heathrow Airport around lunchtime. He was very quickly whisked off to the VIP Windsor suite, where he was put into a black SUV with a police escort and driven to central London. He arrived at Clarence House at 2:42 p.m. and then, as you say, spent a very short amount of time with the king, only 45 minutes. And bearing in mind he's just been on an 11-hour flight to spend time with his father, who has been diagnosed with cancer, I think to most people it appears to be very short indeed. And then, as you say, he left Clarence House, and the king left Clarence House shortly after, accompanied by the Queen, and then flew in a helicopter from the Buckingham Palace garden to Sandringham. No word on where exactly Prince Harry has gone, but as for Prince William, a source close to him has told me that there are no plans at all for Prince William and Prince Harry to meet, which suggests to me that their relationship is still incredibly rocky. Yes, the king did meet with his youngest son, which suggests there is some kind of olive branch, there is some kind of bond between them. But again, a big question. It was a very, very short meeting indeed. The Prince of Wales, as I said, have no plans. But another big question is, where's Prince Harry staying tonight? He was evicted from Frogmore Cottage by the Crown Estate following his memoir being released, Spare. And there's no obvious royal residence, official royal residence for him left in the UK. So has he got an official invite from a member of the royal family to stay with them? No details yet.
Cameron, thank you very much indeed. I mean, it could be, folks, that maybe he's gone straight back to Heathrow Airport. I don't know. Well, I'm joined by Tom Bower, royal biographer, journalist and sharp-eyed observer of these matters. Quite extraordinary, isn't it?
Well, I was always suspicious. I mean, yesterday when it was all announced, I immediately said that I just didn't believe there was a reconciliation on the way. And I really think it was Harry looking for a sort of self-promotion, a junket to somehow raise his profile.
That's a very cynical thing to say.
I'm a cynic and a realist. I don't think Harry ever thought he was going to have a reconciliation here, because you have to beg for forgiveness. I don't even believe he met the Queen. I'm sure that Queen Camilla stayed well out of the way, having absorbed the most dreadful insults from Harry in his book, she being, according to Harry, a vicious person. And of course William didn't want to meet, or Kate wanted to meet Harry. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was on his way back, if not tonight, then tomorrow. I think he's got enough place where he could stay. There's enough rooms in Clarence House and Buckingham Palace where they'll just give him a sleeping bag where he can keep down.
Sleeping bag. What an image. I think, we were saying last night that family crises can bring people back together who've had fallouts, who appear to be irreconcilable. But as you say, for forgiveness to come from the Queen and from William and Kate, he needs to apologise, doesn't he?
Well, he'd have to more than apologise. I mean, he has really been the source of the most dreadful lies and the most dreadful treachery and disloyalty. So the idea, and for money. I mean, he did it all for money. And for someone who then, only 2 weeks ago, went to Jamaica and rattled a lot of old skeletons there and failed to offer his father any good wishes when the prostate diagnosis was first made, which is 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
So I was always suspicious about this quick dash across the Atlantic. It was all about Harry wanting to position himself. And always remember one thing, that his wife, the Blessed Meghan, is a person who gives no quarter in reconciliation. Her father is lying ill in Mexico. She wouldn't dream of going and saying to him, let's make up.
That is
and there's no way that Harry is going to disobey the Duchess.
No, when it comes to Meghan, as you say, with her father, you can see a pattern of behaviour here, and I understand that. Tom, talking about the King, I mean, obviously he goes in for a relatively routine prostate enlargement procedure of some kind. We don't know exactly what it was. And something else gets discovered. What interested me was the openness with which he talked about the prostate. I did say on this show, do we really need to know these details? I was, oh, Nigel, really? Don't be so old-fashioned. Actually, the King saying this makes it very helpful, encourages other men with problems to come forward. And I bought into that. But that statement last night actually left us, I thought, with more questions than answers. We don't know what cancer it is. We don't know what stage it's at, although the Prime Minister this morning sort of hinting it might have been caught at early stage. We don't even know what treatment he's having. And then today we see him leaving London in a helicopter, heading up to Sandringham. Have you got any idea what's going on?
Well, I think what's going on is that the King, I'm speculating, but the King is a great fan, is always promoter of alternative medicine. He would not be one for chemotherapy. He's always argued against it. He's a great believer in natural herbs and potions and things like that. So my guess is that at the moment he's taking advice from a man called Michael Dixon, who he's championed for many years, who headed his own, the King's Natural Alternative Medicine Institute, discredited by many people, but the King is a great believer in it. And I was always, last night, I was very surprised that people kept on saying, well, he's going to have chemotherapy or radiation or the rest of it. You know, he doesn't believe in it. He does not believe in it. It's a risk. I find it's a risk. And I think going to Sandringham is where he wants to take these alternative medicines in a quiet way.
Interesting line of thought. And do you agree with me that at some point he's going to have to say more?
I think he is, but I think he had no alternative but to disclose that he had a problem, because he would, A, disappeared, and B, he was in hospital. It would have leaked. Someone would have sold it to a newspaper.
Yeah, and a cancellation of public engagement. No, I get that. The point I'm making is, having been so open initially about what the problem was, now we know it's cancer and that's all we know. Don't you think that the sort of just speculation is going to reach a level over the next few days where they have to tell us more?
No, I don't actually, because we don't speculate anymore what Kate, the Princess of Wales, had or has. It dies down. It dies down, and rightly so. I mean, there are many people who know what Kate has had, and one leaves it at that. There's no reason to broadcast it. And the same with the King. One just hopes that he recovers pretty speedily. I'm just worried that alternative medicine won't provide the cure which conventional medicine would do.
No, well, that's going to be that aspect's going to be very, as you say, he's been a very keen advocate of this for decades. That's going to be very interesting. And Tom, it's rotten luck, isn't it? I mean, the bloke waits 70 years.
Absolutely.
And we're 18 months in, or whatever we are.
It's worse than that. I mean, it's a crossroads for the monarchy. I mean, here was a man who, with all his foibles and all the rest of it, actually could have contributed, and might still well contribute, we hope, to a new era and a transition. But he's at a crossroads. He's not only got the problem of the family breakup, but also his health. And it's very hard for him to impose his views, not only in England, but in the Commonwealth. I mean, his trips to Canada and New Zealand and Australia were critical to shoring up the monarchy, which is, in the end, Britain's soft power abroad. He's not there. And that is a major problem for Britain and for him. One just hopes he can recover quickly. But, you know, the truth is that he is an older man. His wife does not like travelling. She suffers a lot from jet lag. Her own health is not perfect. So altogether, we're putting more and more onto Kate and William to make sure that monarchy survives. I
mean, we've been talking for years about a slimmed-down monarchy. Boy, we've got it now, haven't we? Andrew not involved. The Sussex is gone. Princess Anne getting on in years. I mean, we're down to very few people.
Well, we've got enough. But you know, the monarchy, I think we have. And the point is that Britain, on the whole, the vast majority of Britons want a monarchy. So whether they get the opening of the hall by a member of the royal family or not, I think, by the way, there'll be enough, and thank goodness there's enough. And, of course, Kate and William are the greatest ambassadors for Britain and the monarchy there is. So I think we should be optimistic. We just hope the King recovers and takes proper medical advice.
Well, as I say, that point's going to be very
interesting. And we can bid farewell to Harry.
Well, it looks like it. No, it looks like it. A final thought, Tom. You know, it was a very difficult job to come to the throne after extraordinary 70 years, no scandals, no problems. I mean, she did an amazing job, and we all know that. How's he done so far? Well,
I think he's been okay. I think he was given a very difficult task, and he has not, as it is, imposed himself on us, because to follow the Queen was pretty difficult, if not impossible. Yeah. But I think now it's hampered him, and I think that the foreign trips and various things which he could have done were now going to be delayed, and I think that's, for his point of view, is a tragedy, because he really did want to bring in a whole new era. And that is now a question mark.
Yeah, and bad news for the Commonwealth as well.
Absolutely.
Tom Bower, thank you very much indeed.